It usually happens when you're not looking for it. You're loading groceries into your car, a warm breeze carries the smell of freshly cut grass. Someone nearby is grilling dinner. For just a second, your chest feels strangely lighter. You don't remember a specific day. You don't remember a specific year. But somehow your brain whispers, "This feels like summer." Then the feeling disappears as quickly as it arrived. So here's the question. If your childhood summers weren't perfect, why does your mind keep trying to go back there? The answer isn't just nostalgia. According to psychologists, it's the way your brain learned to recognize freedom long before it understood responsibility.
Think about your favorite summer as a kid. Not the vacation, not the birthday, just an ordinary afternoon. You probably can't tell me the exact date, but you might remember the sounds of sprinklers, the smell of sunscreen, the way daylight seemed to last forever. What's remarkable is that these tiny details survive for decades, while entire months from adulthood disappear almost completely. Memory researcher Endel Tulving spent much of his career showing that episodic memories become especially vivid when they're tied to rich sensory experiences and personal meaning. Your brain isn't acting like a camera, it's acting like a storyteller. It keeps the details that explain how life felt. The rest quietly fades into the background.
Here's what's strange. As children, we rarely asked whether a day was worth remembering. We simply lived it. Every bike ride felt slightly different. Every walk through the neighborhood offered the possibility that something unexpected might happen. A new friend, a new shortcut, a new adventure that existed for no reason other than curiosity. Then, adulthood arrived. Most mornings began looking like the one before. The alarm sounded the same, the commute stayed the same, even weekends slowly developed routines of their own. Psychologist David Rubin's research on autobiographical memory found that people remember periods filled with novelty far more vividly than periods dominated by repetition. The brain isn't trying to erase routine. Routine simply gives it less to remember.
Have you ever noticed that vacations often feel short while you're taking them, but surprisingly long when you look back? That's because your brain measures time in two different ways. One happens while you're living, the other happens while you're remembering. Daniel Kahneman describes something similar through the idea of the experiencing self and the remembering self. The experiencing self moves through every moment. The remembering self edits the story afterward. And editors remove repetition. They keep surprise, emotion, turning points. That's why one unexpected conversation can outweigh an entire ordinary month. Your calendar records every day equally. Your memory never does.
People often say adulthood steals time. I'm not convinced that's true. I think adulthood quietly steals uncertainty. When you were 10, almost everything was new. You didn't know what tomorrow would bring. That uncertainty wasn't stressful, it was exciting. Today, most adults can predict next Tuesday with uncomfortable accuracy. The same coffee, the same meetings, the same drive home. Convenience has made life smoother, but it has also made many days almost invisible. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi argued that our attention comes alive when we're fully engaged in experiences that stretch us just beyond the familiar. Without that engagement, the brain shifts into autopilot. Autopilot saves energy. It also leaves fewer fingerprints in memory.
Social media makes this even stranger. You open your phone and see beaches, camping trips, family barbecues, fireworks, perfect sunsets. It starts to feel like everyone else is having the kind of summer you remember having. But memory has always been selective, and now the internet is selective too. You're comparing your ordinary Tuesday to someone else's carefully chosen highlight. Psychologists have long studied social comparison, beginning with Leon Festinger's work in the 1950s. We naturally evaluate our own lives by looking at other people's. The problem is that we're no longer comparing ourselves to neighbors. We're comparing ourselves to thousands of edited moments every single day. No wonder ordinary life begins to feel smaller.
Here's the part that surprised me the most. Maybe nostalgia isn't trying to pull you into the past. Maybe it's trying to point something out about the present. Think back to that child who couldn't wait to leave the house on a summer morning. It wasn't because every day was extraordinary. Most weren't. It was because almost every day contained the possibility of becoming extraordinary. That possibility mattered. Curiosity mattered. Attention mattered. Somewhere along the way, many of us stopped expecting ordinary days to surprise us, and when expectation disappears, attention quietly follows.
Maybe that's why certain moments still catch us off guard. A familiar song through an open window, the smell of rain on hot pavement, children laughing somewhere you can't quite see. For a second, your brain isn't remembering a season, it's remembering a version of yourself who still believed the next hour could become a story. That person isn't gone. They've simply spent a long time living inside routines that never asked them to look up. Perhaps that's why the summers of childhood seem impossible to recreate, not because the weather changed, not because we grew older, but because back then, almost every day offered something we'd never seen before. The good news is that life hasn't run out of firsts. There are still conversations you've never had, places you've never wandered through, skills you've never been brave enough to try, people you've never met who could quietly change the direction of your life. Maybe the feeling we call nostalgia isn't really about wanting yesterday back. Maybe it's a reminder that somewhere ahead of you, there are still memories waiting to become the ones you'll miss someday. So I'm curious, what's one ordinary moment from your childhood that you still remember for no obvious reason? Sometimes those small memories tell us more about who we are than the biggest milestones ever could.